Hi, I'm Sawyer Vorosky, and this video is going to be called What is an Education? And I want to explore some of what it means to be an educated person, how you get an education, and a bit about what is not an education. Okay, so first of all, I want to start off with a quote by Rudolf Steiner, who developed Waldorf schools and a philosopher, a scientist, and among other things. He says, "Our highest endeavor must be to develop free human beings who are able of themselves to impart purpose and direction to their own lives. The need for imagination, a sense of truth, and a feeling of responsibility. These three things are the very nerve of education." And I just think that that's a phenomenal quote. There's a lot of really great insights and points that are made in that quote that I think can help people get on the right course of what it means to be educated. Because first of all, we're going to start off with a little bit about what it means to not be educated. Because a big point that I want you to get is when you're investigating into the truth of things, oftentimes it is through what's called an apophatic process, meaning a deconstructive process. We're finding out what a thing is not. To find out what it is, we need to first understand what it is not. So there's a lot of myths and basically lies, maybe based on ignorance or intentional lies put around in our culture about what education is. We think that it's schooling. So first of all, I'm going to say that education and schooling are different, okay? Schooling can be a part of your education if used correctly, if used with intention and awareness of what's going on. But if you're just going through the schooling system without any awareness or knowledge that hopefully I'm going to be able to share with you today to equip you with an educated eye to look at school and use it as part of your education instead of being schooled as it's intended to do, then schooling is going to be the opposite of what education is, okay? And that's not what we want. So, schooling versus education. A couple questions is, we've been thoroughly schooled. We have a society where most people have gone to school because it's a law to go to school up to a certain age, up to 16, and basically by that time you're thoroughly schooled, okay? And you better put a lot of effort to undo what has already been done through K through whatever age you drop out at 16. But basically we're forced by law to go to school through these ages. Now, we don't have many options, and that's a problem. We need to have more options and make them more easily accessible to people. And hopefully through this presentation, I'll be able to expand your view of what an education is and how it's accessible to anybody with very limited funds. Everybody needs an education, but not everybody needs to be schooled, okay? Now, how many interesting, really cultured, sophisticated, and what you call educated people do you come across on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis? How many people walking around would you really describe like that? Really interesting, learned people. Do you know any? Do you know any personally? There are a lot of people out there on the internet and through books and in the world who are educated, but I don't really see too many of them just in your daily life, you know, because most people have been schooled and not educated. Now look at your high school graduate, look at your average graduate coming out of college. Would you say that they're really equipped with knowledge that will allow them to be able to live sufficiently and have a good, happy, contented, fulfilling life? To face the demands of reality, to get a job that they really like or be involved in a career that they really love? Do they have the social skills? Do they understand themselves? You know, these are the questions that we're asking in this presentation because a lot of people have gone through school and go to what's called higher education colleges. And I just don't think they're coming out with a solid education. And a lot of people know this. They get out of the college and they kind of regret the money that they spent. And it's kind of painful, you know? And that's why we see on the political scene today a lot of people demanding that free college, okay? Or for the government to forgive their loans, as if you took those out not knowing that they were needing to be repaid. And it is an issue. The interest rates on those are ridiculous. And as far as I know, you can't default. You can't say that you're bankrupt, you know, and then have them forgiven. They're debts that people have for life. And that's a problem, and hopefully that I could share something in this video to save somebody going through the stress of pursuing a degree that will not equip them with an education, period. It'll give them nice schooling, and we're going to talk about what the difference is between these. But think twice about going to college, all right? Because we've been doing this model the same way as basically since colleges were invented. We've been doing it the same way. You go to get your preliminary, you know, elementary and high school studies, and then you go on to college and supposedly get trained for some sort of career. Well, something you need to consider is that most people are going to live their lives and work many different jobs. Okay, this view that you're going to be trained for one thing and only do one thing the rest of your life is not accurate. Most people have many different jobs over the course of their career. That's just the way that it is. So to go to college and get some sort of degree for a job that is probably not even going to exist in the coming years, and basically our whole economy is going to be filled with jobs that don't exist today. So how is a college going to train you for these jobs that don't even exist? You know, these are things that you want to think about before you go to college, and then you want to think about how much it's going to cost you monetarily. If you think the government's just going to come ahead and pay for your loans, I would think again, okay? So the point is, a lot of people coming out of high school, and I was one of them, and the people that I hung around were like that, and it's not an isolated case. This is going on all over the nation where people get out of high school and they basically know nothing. They don't know anything about history. They don't know anything about themselves. They don't know anything about the social world, interacting with other people. They don't know anything about really what they are interested in, what they want to do. I mean, these are all things that are part of an education that once you get out of high school, many kids are basically helpless. Okay, they don't even really know how to work a basic job. But hey, you know, schools are really working well, okay? Yeah, they are working well. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is not giving you an education. So I want to go through a little list of what schooling is. And this list could also be thought of as what an education is not. Because remember, we're investigating what it is not first before we get to what it is. So schooling is a process of habit training, insubordination, and obedience. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to make you conform, be like everybody else. Iron out any of these, unique traits that you might have that make you different from everybody else, that might make you stand out in the class, you know. Except for getting an A, that's all right. That's what we want. We want you to get an A, which means that you're doing a great job of conforming and being obedient and following orders. And I don't mean to offend anybody or make anybody upset. If you got good grades, that's great. You know, if you got good grades, that's fine. But I'm just trying to communicate to you that basically getting good grades is not going to necessarily correlate into success in life. Period. I know school teachers will lie to you and tell you that that's the case. That our school system is designed to tell kids that this is the truth, that your future is determined by your grades. And that's not true at all. Some of the most successful people have terrible grades. They were terrible students. They may have gotten kicked out in many cases, so just know that. If you got good grades, fine, but just, I wouldn't be riding on that, because once you get into the real world, which should pique everybody's interest, why are we calling the real world? Once you get into the real world, what? Why are we spending any time in a fake world of school learning? Because that's what it is. It's a fake world where grades are rewarded, and in the real world, nobody really cares about your grades. Sorry. I know nobody else is telling you that, but I'll tell you that all day. Go and get a job. Does anybody ask what your grades were? Go to the doctor. Do you care what your doctor got, on their exams? Do you ask what their grades were throughout school, what their GPA was? It never happens in the real world. Nobody cares, because grades are fake, homework is fake, and it doesn't matter. Okay, schooling is rigid and disconnected from the real world. Like I was just saying, it's not teaching you knowledge that is applicable to the real world. Everybody knows this. School is intended to create a mass of dumbed down, easily controllable, and manipulated people. It's designed to create people who are predictable. Okay, just know this. This is a stated objective, and to prove all these claims would be a whole presentation in itself. And I'm not asking anybody to believe me, but I'm telling you the way that it is. Schooling is designed to make a predictable mass of people so that it's easily managed. Because guess what? There are social managers over the dumb herd that got schooled. And I don't mean that in a derogatory, that's the way they think of it, okay? The people who design schools. Think I'm a conspiracy theorist, okay? Think that I'm crazy and don't know what I'm talking about. Schools are irrelevant. What you're learning there doesn't matter in, remember, the real world. It might matter in the fake world of schooling, but once you get out into the world of adults and just people living, it doesn't matter. Whatever you learn there is likely not going to be relevant. And it's going to be outdated, too. So say you go to college and you get a degree that took you 6 years. Well, by the time you get done with that, the stuff that was 6 years old is probably going to be old and outdated. Because it takes these are bureaucracies, okay? They're huge organizations and institutions where progress within the institution happens very slowly, because it has to go through a million different sign-offs before anything new could be taught in the schools or a new textbook. I mean, it's really a good racket they got going. Schooling discourages creativity and imagination. School is an artificial extension of childhood. We're having kids, people who are 16, 17, 18 years old in high school, being treated by adults as if they're subordinates or, still children. And that's destructive to our society. That's destructive to people's mentality, because you need to be treated like an adult generally to act like one. If you're treated like a kid, you might act like a kid, okay? And people need to grow up. By the time they're like 12, you need to really seriously be able to handle some responsibility and do some valuable things in the real world. Schooling is not teaching you that. Schooling, by the way, in case you didn't know, is the biggest industry in the country and probably the world. When you take into account all the, industries and corporations that are directly dependent upon schooling, like food manufacturers that dump off all their crappy food onto the schools that nobody else will really buy because it's so terrible. They just put it off on the schools because they know they have a regular supplier. How about the school shopping list that every year we're expected to get new shopping lists? Why are you getting a new shopping list? Don't you have enough pencils? Don't you have enough freaking notebooks? Don't you have enough of that stuff left over? I mean, why are you buying it every year? Because it's part of the economy, okay? We got teachers, huge amount of money goes to pay teachers, and I know they're always calling out for more. Just the bureaucracies, the entire structure of the schooling takes massive amounts. There's a ton of jobs, ton of people employed in this institution. It's the biggest industry in the country when you take into account all the ancillary businesses that are directly dependent upon it. Schooling is forced upon people. It's not voluntary. School perpetuates lies about human beings in the world that we inhabit. They're teaching stuff in the textbooks that's not true. They're teaching through their attitudes to people things that are not true about human beings and human nature, things that you pick up through the schooling system. You probably don't even know the things that you picked up, the ideologies that you have, that you got from school. And I hope that this presentation helps you reflect on some of those things before it's too late. Because once you get to a certain age, change is difficult, okay? If you're not already in the habit of doing it. So that's why people better be careful. You went to high school and then you're going straight to college and then you don't get out until you're like 25, 26. You've been in school your entire formative years. So you better be careful and really think about what you're going to school for, okay? Because once you get out of there, you might never change. And you might be happy to be a part of this crazy society that we see. Because you've been indoctrinated by the schools to make you conform to fit into the society, to keep it going. That's what it's about. Just keep the society going. Don't step out of line. Don't say anything original. Don't try to make any waves here, okay? We got a good thing going, and all you people in school, you just need to keep it going. That's what it's about. Schools encourage dependency, apathy, indifference, cruelty, and immaturity. Again, just look at the people coming out of them. Visit a school. Schools are basically designed to make you accept information passively without critical review or analysis. Discourages critical thinking. Schools are, let's face it, they're boring. Everybody knows it. And you don't learn anything when you're bored. You think that they would know that. This is supposedly giving you an education, helping you learn knowledge. You'd think that they would realize you don't really learn too good when you're bored. Schools are a jobs project. Remember, there's an economy to run here. We got a lot of jobs that need people to fill, and they're really not too... They're jobs that don't require a lot of skill and knowledge and talent and individuality. We just need people to fill up these clerks, these guard jobs, these dang policing jobs, these surveillance and all this nonsense. Working in the retail and waiting in the restaurants. We need to fill these jobs. We don't need artists. We don't need philosophers and writers. And no, there's enough of them. We need these people to kind of keep this thing going here and not ask too many questions. Schools are the foundation of our consumeristic, wasteful society. Don't we have a wasteful society? Yeah, we do. I want to share an amazing quote by one of my favorites, John Taylor Gatto, and I have his book. It was out of this book here. This is a wonderful, wonderful book by an amazing teacher and historian and social critic, one of my favorite people that I've come across, John Taylor Gatto. And this quote, he says, "Think of the economic tragedy that would occur if schools taught critical thinking, if they encouraged individuals to be strong and think original thoughts, if they taught the philosopher's secret that nothing important can be bought, if they honored the universal human need for choice and privacy, if they nourished a love of quality. Who would crave the mountains of junk our mass production economy distributes? Who would eat the processed food? Who would wear the plastic shoes? Who would fill evenings with televised fantasies in place of real living? How could the mass economy survive without the training schools provide? We'll never get a handle on school reform until we understand this strange symbiosis better." Now, we've reviewed a little bit about what school education is not and the schooling issue, because it's a big one. And we'll get on to what education is about. And a quote by Boris Pasternak says, "Man was born to live, not to prepare to live." And I put that in there because schooling is all about this preparation to live in the real world. We're done with that. That's over. You need to be living now. You need no more preparing to live. Live now. Education. The root of the word comes from the Latin educo or educare, which means to bring forth, to draw out, or to lead out. Education is supposed to be something that draws forth you, your inherent skills, talents, abilities, interests, curiosity. This is what education is designed to do, is to bring this out of you. It's not an internal download thing. It's more of a drawing out process. It's something that makes you a contributor rather than a consumer. Education is designed to equip you with the ability to live life artfully with grace, contentment, fulfillment, and balance. And education is something that is engaged in voluntarily. And guess what? Nobody gives you an education. An education is only obtained by those who take it because they want it. That's very important. And education is really about you. It's about knowledge of yourself, which is the foundation of education. And schooling was designed to make you a part of somebody else's plan. Somebody else has a view of who you are and where your place is in the world. And becoming educated involves scrapping that nonsense and writing your own script in life and becoming a unique individual, basically who you were designed to be. You're already a unique individual, but then the programming makes you into just a mindless drone. So what we're doing is we're just riding on nature, okay? And education is about being yourself to the max instead of what you're assigned to be by society or the school system or somebody else's plan for you. And keep thinking it's all an accident, okay? Keep thinking the school is just an accident, it's the best that we could come up with, and that you contributed to it. Well, and that nobody really invented the school system, or there's no reasons behind it. You know, keep thinking that. Okay, and I just want to say, wouldn't it be a shame to live your life running on somebody else's programs and never really know who you really are and what you're about and what you can bring to the world? That would be a shame, and I do not want to see that for you. I don't want that, and I don't want to see it for you. And education is about activating both sides of the brain. You could call it the left-right hemispheres of the brain, left being analytical, scientific, mathematical, rational, reasonable, these types of traits, objective, and then the right side of the brain would be kind of the creative, intuitive, emotional, social, contextual, pattern recognition type of your brain. Art, imagination. Or you can think of them as the scientific brain and the religious brain or mind, as J. Krishnamurti puts it. Those two together creates intelligence. That's what the word means. Intelligence. It's two words, intellect and genere, the generative or creative principle. Those together creates intelligence. Do you see a lot of people coming out of schools with both of these balanced? Do you see our society very balanced? No, I don't. Okay, how we learn. There's a prerequisite to knowledge. It's called respect. If you don't have respect for knowledge, you don't get knowledge. Another thing they never taught you in school was that they thought they could just pound it into your brain. Doesn't work like that. Curiosity, enthusiasm, seeing the significance of knowledge. These are prerequisites. Care for the truth. Care with a capital C for the truth. That's a prerequisite for knowledge at the highest levels. Awe and wonder. You're a human being living here on this earth. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's not the picture that they paint in schooling or through the media or through this scientism religion that we have going on. All symptoms of the schooling issue. Okay, and another thing of how we learn and how to really start learning a lot is to develop a fundamental attitude that you can learn anything from anybody at any time. You can learn something from the janitor, the waiter at the table, your boss, your parents, children, anybody. Anybody could teach you something. It doesn't matter. Never develop the idea that you're better than anybody and that you know more than everybody. And that's when you turn stupid, is when you have that idea. Okay, the process of learning, very important, never taught you in school. It's called the trivium. The trivium. It's 3 steps to learning that is ancient knowledge that has basically been erased from our understanding today. It's grammar, logic, and rhetoric. It's been called other names as well, but this is the traditional name. Grammar is knowledge. It's the raw data, the facts, the terms, basic skills. That's your grammar, okay? Logic is understanding. It's the organization of the facts, how they fit together, the what, the why. You know, it's synthesizing this data, organizing it, seeing how it fits together. Then we have rhetoric, which is wisdom, which is applied knowledge. Okay, it's the application of the first 2 steps. It's the use of knowledge in the real world. That's what wisdom is knowledge applied. Now we're going to go through some traits of educated people. Okay, educated people have developed a personal philosophy. They know their values, they know their morals, and they follow them of their own accord, not by outside compulsion. Educated people are not afraid of solitude. They're okay with being alone. In fact, they generally enjoy their own company and are restored by those moments of being by themselves. New insights come. Educated people are onto, this is a very important idea, educated people are onto the vocational life instead of the occupational life. So occupational means basically you're just occupying a space. Vocational is more your calling, your purpose, your mission, your deep inner reason for being alive, for being here, trying to make the world a better place. Educated people know their rights and they know what they are not. Do you know what your rights are? Do you know what they are not? Schooled people don't, I'll tell you that. Educated people feel adequate to face the challenges of life. They're able to give meaning to their own lives. They're self-directed and they're not waiting for the world to tell them what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, and with whom to do it. They tend to know a little bit about a lot, basically. They could say something about just about anything. Real educated people. They have useful knowledge, how to build a house, write a song, grow food, design a living space, okay? Teach, train, these are real skills. And language, they have real applicable skills. They can create new things, new ideas, new experiences. Educated people tend not to minor in major things, okay? They understand what is important and what is not. The essential and the non-essential. They know how to use their time. Boredom to educated people is a foreign concept. Now in school, remember, you're trained to be bored, so that's, a lot of people are bored regularly, but educated people, they know that there's nothing, you're never bored because there's infinite amount of things to do. Another thing educated people have is the beginner's mind. They can learn. Remember, learn anything from anybody. If you think you know it all, you're not learning anymore, okay? So keep the beginner's mind. They're generally contribution-oriented as opposed to consumer-oriented, focused on giving instead of getting. They don't accept what others tell them blindly. They never simply repeat what they've been told by others without understanding it firsthand themselves. They come to their own conclusions. They understand the significance of history and the truth that it holds. People today who think that everything's old and outdated, you're completely lost. You have a apathetic mindset that you can't learn anything from history, and you're no wonder why you're duped. Because if you don't know any history, it's basically like you're born yesterday and everything seems so awesome and amazing. Oh, this politician, he said this is just great. Yeah, because you don't know any history. Okay, and then the real adepts, the real people who are knowledgeable and learned are masters of the social realm. They understand themselves, what drives them, and they understand what drives other people. And they know how to navigate the social world. They have social skills or emotional intelligence. They know what they're feeling when they're feeling it. Okay, so now, all those different things, I just want to present you with some ideas about a new model of educating, because we definitely need one. So how people get educated is through real-world experience, through apprenticeships, mentors, books, music, art, on-the-job learning. This is how you really develop the ability to hold responsibility, navigate the social world, develop real-world skills, competencies, because competence creates confidence. And people coming out of school generally lack a lot of confidence because they're not competent. Pretty simple. Come on, teachers. Stop thinking it's the kids that are so bad and realize it's this dang institution. They're having a normal reaction to the institution of schooling by being disruptive and immature. So, new model of education, creative pursuits. Make up something, make up a project, something that you're curious about and you want to go out and explore. On street, survey people about a question that you want to know. Go out and interview people at jobs that you think are interesting. Whatever, make it up. And follow it through. Be serious about it. Spend some time on it. Online learning. Again, why are we still doing this school the same way? You go to an institution, you go to a college and pay 4 years so that you can live on their site and, all this. There's so many online opportunities today. Start taking advantage of them. Travel. We all know that travel is one of the greatest time-tested ways of learning about other cultures, and all this stuff brings it back to yourself, self-knowledge, your knowledge of yourself in relation to others. YouTube University, even though it's gone downhill today with their censorship and their algorithms where they don't recommend videos like they used to, there still is good stuff out there if you know what you're looking for. I know it's gone downhill and we need to create a different platform that works better because these people are not educated people. Because censorship is what stupid people do. Educated people can look at all the different facts, come to their own conclusions, and they're not afraid of any knowledge. Stupid people want to censor, want to control information. No, you shouldn't be knowing this. You shouldn't be watching this. This is offensive. This is vulgar. Shut up. Aren't we adults, you dumb piece of... Anyways, and make your own university. This is the exciting thing. You can make your own university with the collection of these experiences and teachers, and this is what makes you a unique person. Find your interests and build teachers around that or different experiences around that to really become confident in a field. That's really exciting. You can make your own university, your own synthesis of knowledge. And I want to share this other quote by J. Krishnamurti on self-knowledge, which is the foundation. He says, "This is your life, and nobody's going to teach you. No book, no guru. You have to learn from yourself. There is a great deal to learn about yourself. It's an endless thing. It's a fascinating thing. And when you learn about yourself from yourself, out of that learning wisdom comes. Then you can live a most extraordinary, happy, beautiful life." And he had a lot of wonderful thoughts to share on education. So thank you for watching this video. I know I went through things pretty quickly, but good news about videos, you can watch it again. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you become an educated, sophisticated, cultured person that can contribute to the betterment of other people's lives in the world, and stop going along with the herd and thinking what everybody thinks. Peace be with you.